Hey everyone, I'm Rachel Bubeck and this is my testimony. So I just wanted to talk a little about my second class summer and just give a testimony about that, because if you know me, you know my second class summer was pretty rough. Let's see. Started off with a breakup, which is super hard. If you've ever been through one, you know. And then I hurt my knee on the obstacle course right before Cadre Summer, or right before phase 1. I was phase 2. It was during prep week. But I didn't think it was anything serious. You know, I thought it would be fine in a week. Then PT really wanted me to get an MRI. I was like, fine, whatever, get an MRI. I don't think anything will become of it. Got my MRI, and then they said, guess what? You tore your ACL and your meniscus and displaced your meniscus. You have to get surgery as soon as possible, or you risk not being able to commission. And so that was really hard news to hear, because I was not expecting it at all, and I knew how serious it was and how it would negatively affect my summer. Just all the different cadre things. So then we scheduled my surgery for 4 days before the start of phase 2. I was supposed to be phase 2 PXO, and I was like, you know what? It's fine. Like, I can do it. I can get the surgery. I'll like rest for 4 days and I'll start cadre and I'll be fine. Never got surgery before. Had no idea how hard it would be. And I kind of forgot to like rewind, but like up until this point, I was so unaware of how prideful I was. Like throughout track season, even like I started hurdling. I was getting pretty good. I was able to get on like the top 10 record board for outdoor of all time, and like I thought I was the stuff, you know. I didn't even realize how prideful it was. I thought like, oh, this is so awesome, you know, I love track, woo. But then I think the one thing I learned from like the knee injury was it was a way for God to humble me in that way, physically. Like, okay, if you're being super prideful with this with running and track, then I'll humble you by taking that away, and now you won't be able to run for months. So obviously I was really upset about that, and I didn't realize, you know, that lesson God was trying to teach me for a while. And then I was, on top of that, super upset over my breakup, and I still didn't learn the lesson. I was still very prideful, obviously, because I still wanted to be a PXO, even though I was on crutches and supposed to be recovering from surgery. And so first couple days into phase 2, I immediately am just not doing well. Like, I'm not recovering. My knee is like swelling up, getting worse. I'm in a lot of pain. I had just gotten off like the drugs, and I was starting to get sick, at like infections and stuff, but I was still trying to be cadre, still trying to do PXO jobs. And I realized that because I wasn't taking care of myself and I was so prideful and wanting to keep my position, other people were suffering because of it. Like, my section was having to step up and take over my job, and the swabs weren't getting like all the proper training they needed, and I was just it was not good for my section. And so we kind of realized that after the first week, when I went into SIQ for a few days, that it was just not good for me to be doing that. And that was another humbling experience. You know, I was very prideful in that I got the position. You know, I thought I was doing amazing. I was going to be this great, awesome leader. And that was another humbling experience, to have to step down and let another cadre take over as PXO. And then so after that, I was just like a normal cadre I didn't have any collateral. I was just kind of there whenever I wanted to be, so that way I could take care of myself. But then after a couple of days of that, still didn't get it, you know, still prideful, still wanting to do everything that I could to still be a good cadre, just doing everything in my own strength. I got humbled more by getting COVID. And so I went down to Monroe for isolation for 10 days by myself. Couldn't even go outside, couldn't see anyone, just stuck in that little room for 10 days. And I got out the day after sea trials, so I missed the rest of Cadre Summer. And when I was in Monroe, that I finally was like, okay, God, I think I get it now. I didn't really get it, but I was starting to understand more like of what God was trying to show me and teach me, like that he took those other things away to like really not only humble me, but teach me that like I'm weak and I need to depend on him, and I need to rely on him, and not do things on my own strength, but do things in his strength. And so during that time down there, I wish I could have I wish I would have used it more productively. I definitely could see what God was doing and intentionally spent more time with Him, was reading through Romans and was praying and worshiping a good amount, but I could have done more. But I think it was after that summer, I was just exhausted, I was weary, but at the same time I was really thankful. I'd never gone through much suffering before in my life, honestly hardly ever. I was so unaware of how prideful I was. And that summer, like all the things I went through, still throughout the summer was struggling getting over the breakup too. So all the things compiling was making me realize not like the purpose of suffering and how prideful I was, that I needed to humble myself and that I needed to depend on God and rely on Him. So some of the things I learned about suffering was I was just reading through different verses in the Bible, like the one where it says, count it all joy when you fall into various trials, knowing that the testing of your faith produces patience, and let patience have its perfect work, that you may be perfect and complete, lacking nothing. Another one goes, I'm blanking out. I can consider, brothers, that the suffering of this present time is not worthy to be compared to the glory that is to be revealed. There's another one that's like, and suffering produces character, which produces endurance, which produces hope, and hope does not put us to shame. So there's so much good evidence in the Bible of the purpose of suffering and why it's good for us, and discipline too. And it never clicked for me before. I never really understood it before because I never really experienced suffering before, but I felt like I was starting to understand it a lot more after the summer, and I still needed to grow a lot after that summer. I was still having a hard time, making mistakes. I was just at a really low point in my life throughout the whole summer. Probably the worst mental health I've ever had too. But it definitely brought me to the point of humility that I needed to get to in order to start going up and really growing my relationship with God and my faith. Yeah, so if you have any more questions like you want to ask me about that summer or just anything else I've learned since then, because I've definitely learned and grown a lot even since that summer all throughout second class year. That second class year was pretty hard too, but I don't want to go on forever, so if you ever want to talk, just come find me, and I'm open, I'm willing to share anything, lessons I learned. But yeah, thanks for listening.